What is up, everybody? Welcome into this Friday episode of Flippin Bats. We got a lot of stuff coming at you. Making a statement. Is Shohei Ohtani leaves the Angels? Is Mike Trout out as well? Are the Yankees in trouble? We got things that make you go, tail of the tape. This one's going to be a blast. Let's get to it.
It's a blowout. 8th inning, 10-3. Bases are loaded for Verlander, who waits out a 3-0 pitch. He swings, and it's a high fly ball, deep center field. It is gone! Home run! And a huge bat flip to celebrate. All right, Ben, start the show already.
What is up, my friends? Happy Friday to everyone listening and watching. This is going to be a blast of an episode. Everything I mentioned, Alex, as well as tail of the tape, Mets and Braves, a great series we got coming up. But, Alex, I need to ask you.
What?
Yesterday, NFL draft, we did our draft as if we were starting a franchise, starting from scratch. We did a draft, and I had a team name.
You blindsided me. You came up with your team name on the spot. We didn't talk about having team
Your
names.
players are already in shambles. You don't even have a name ready for them.
What do you
Figure out your own
mean?
team.
No.
Benny Bat Flips is
Gosh.
ready and loaded. Okay, so now it's Friday. Do you have a team name? Did you think of one overnight?
Not great ones. So, okay, I have two possible names, but I also want to put this out to the fans out there. I want you to help me come up with a great name. Right now, I have AC Steelers, like base Steelers. And then I have Curry's Crazy Kids because in the future, they're kids. I know, they're not great, so that's why I need your help. Give me your suggestions. What should my team name be? You can use, Alex, Curry, AC, Big Al. I don't know, something that goes along with, you didn't know I was Big Al?
AC Steelers. Your team hates you.
No,
already.
they don't. My team loves me.
We've barely taken the field.
My team loves me.
And your team's in shambles.
I'm the team favorite.
Oh, man. All right, we got a good one today. I am excited about this, and we're starting with making a statement where Alex is going to make a few statements, and I'll see what they are and how I feel about them. And, yeah, let's start there.
This is a big one.
This is
a big one. The first one.
Oh, the first one.
Yeah.
I was
the
like,
first
is this
one.
making a statement
Yeah,
bigger than
this is
all
a
the
big
others?
one. No, okay. Our first statement. If Shohei Ohtani leaves the Angels, Mike Trout will follow shortly after.
So, Mike Trout made some comments about this recently. Not specifically like if Shohei is gone, I'm out or I'm staying. But basically, like, whenever I come back to the East Coast, whenever I'm in New York or Philly, like, I hear from my friends. I hear from the fans. Like, come on, get out. Like, come play over here.
Yeah.
And he basically was like, I hear it. And it gets to me more so when I'm over there than it does out. I pay more attention to it. So here's my thoughts here. I know the only reason Trout is still there is because of how loyal he is, right?
Oh, loyal by default.
He signed the contract to play there. He wants to win a World Series there, and he has been very vocal as much. And recently he was asked by Ken Rosenthal about this on the Fox game, and Trout said, I signed the contract to play here. My goal is to win a World Series here. And that's great. But if this team this year gets to the point where Shohei Ohtani either gets traded or walks at the end of the year, right? If they're out of contention at the trade deadline, which I don't believe is going to be the case, you got to trade Shohei. And if they don't make the playoffs, by all accounts, what we've heard is he's gone.
Yeah.
So then if you lose Shohei, you almost have to start over. You almost have, like, are you starting over with Mike Trout, who's current, like, on the back end of his prime, I would say, 31, 32? Do you start there, or do you go to him and do every baseball fan a service in the entire world and say, Mike, we will not have Shohei back. We have to kind of start over, and we want you to go win. We want you. We're gonna go through.
You deserve to win.
Right. We're gonna go through a rebuild.
Yeah.
and we don't think you deserve to go through that rebuild with us. And that's sort of like what happened in Detroit when Justin was leaving but wanted to stay with the Tigers, but they were basically like, we are going through a rebuild. And he was like, well, okay, and then he ends up moving on. And that's what comes to mind for me here is if they go through a full rebuild, is Mike Trout supposed to just go through that with them? I don't think so.
Mike Trout is 31 years old.
Yeah.
Okay, he's still young and still one of the greatest players in the game, but as you mentioned, on the back end of his prime.
Yeah.
Can you imagine what the Angels would get, what a team would give up in a trade for someone like Shohei Ohtani and Mike Trout? Now, are you getting the entire farm system plus 1 to 2 star players? Are you getting like a whole rack of already great Major League Baseball players that are like in the league right now? Like, it is going to be mind-blowing what the Angels could get for either of those players, let alone both of them.
This won't happen, but it's fun to think about a trade. Like, what if a trade involved both Trout and Shohei at the trade deadline? Like, what if the Angels go that stretch they went on last year where they lost like 14 in a row, and then at the trade deadline they're under 500 and they're like, we gotta redo it, we gotta restart. Trout, he has the contract there, the no trade clause. Like, Trout, are you okay moving on? Imagine a trade with both Shohei and Trout. It would look unlike anything we've ever seen before. It's not like, just give them the whole minor league system. No, it's like your big league young stars.
Yep.
You know, we're talking like big league stars, all-stars, multiple getting traded for these guys on top of like your number 1 and 2 prospect. It would be wild. But you'd have to, like, to get a Shohei and Trout, you'd have to give up like a Ronald Acuna and Austin Riley. You know, it's like something like that. Like, it'd be crazy. Hypothetical speaking here. I'm not saying the Braves are like, they should trade Ronald Acuna.
Yeah.
I love Ronnie, but I digress. I think this is true, but I don't think it's next year. I think if Shohei leaves within the next 3 years, Trout's gone.
That's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair. He deserves to win and be playing in the postseason, whatever that looks like, if it's with the Angels or another team. Okay, on to our next statement. Ben.
Yep.
The Yankees are in trouble.
I'm gonna say false.
Okay.
This is not true. The Yankees are 14-11, and they're not playing good baseball.
Mm-hmm.
That I think speaks volumes to how good the team is.
It's just a bunch of whiffs. The Yankees lineup.
That's great. They're 14-11. They're not playing good baseball. Their second best pitcher hasn't pitched yet this year, which apparently we've finally gotten some signs that he's heading in the right direction towards coming back in Carlos Rodon. Judge isn't hitting as well as I think he will this year. Anthony Volpe appears to be heating up. I did a couple weeks ago.
Yep.
He was my one down. I said, just give Anthony Volpe time. He's a star and he'll be fine. He has been, and he's been pretty good of late. So he's playing better. I think the Yankees being at 14-11 with their struggles, this is why this question is being asked, because they just lost the first series to the Twins since 2001?
Since 2000, and they're 4th in the East right now?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's...
So that's
tough
why we're
for the
talking about
Yankees.
this. But you look at it, and they're 14-11, not playing great baseball. To me, that says more about the team and how good they are than their struggles right now saying how bad they are.
Okay. Yeah. Not concerned.
Not concerned.
All right. Moving on to our next statement. The Mariners still have a top 5 rotation without Robbie Ray.
This sucks.
Mm-hmm.
Robbie Ray announced out for the year. That's a big blow. That's a huge blow. And coming off 2 years removed from a Cy Young Award in the American League, and then last year had a down year by his standards, had some flashes of being really good, but, just not the best year for him. But that guy's still in there. And now the injury, and he's out for the year. So this rotation that I was so high on, and is a reason that I said they'd make the playoffs and have the potential to make a pretty deep run in the playoffs, takes a big hit. So are the Mariners still a top 5 rotation? With Castillo, Robbie Ray, Gilbert, George Kirby, I would have said yes. without Robbie Ray, we're looking at Luis Castillo. Great. Top tier. Logan Gilbert, who this year has been okay. George Kirby, same boat. And then Chris Flexen and Marco Gonzalez is what I guess. No.
Yeah.
No, sadly. And that sucks because this team was like built around their dominant staff. But let's say Logan Gilbert I think Logan Gilbert figures it out. And his last start, from what I saw, and his new splitter, it looks really good. I think we could be seeing Logan Gilbert figuring it out and becoming dominant from now on. But even still, Luis Castillo, Logan Gilbert, and then say you get a good George Kirby, Chris Flexen, and Marco Gonzalez, or whatever they're going to run out in 4 or 5, does not give me top 5 rotation vibes.
I think the hardest part is the loss in his leadership. Not only just having his arm in the rotation, but you talked about this a lot with your brother, Justin Verlander, and just what he meant to even like the Astros rotation, just having a veteran like that with that experience, with a Cy Young award, and really taking those younger guys under their wing. And Robbie Ray was really taking Logan Gilbert and George Kirby under his wing. So just not even having his arm there on the field, I think it's going to be a huge loss not having his presence there in the clubhouse and in the dugout.
Yeah, and to your point, I imagine he'll still be there much of the time, but he probably won't go on road trips. He'll be in the dugout able to talk to them, but leaders lead by example.
Yep.
Right? And unfortunately, he's not going to be able to. So I would say the Mariners are not anymore a top 5 rotation without Robbie Ray.
All right. On to our next statement. The White Sox need to clean house.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hell yes.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, this starts at the top.
Mm-hmm.
And by the top, I'm not saying the manager, the GM, but sure, there.
Ownership.
Ooh. Jerry Reinsdorf has been awful for this team. And it is so frustrating watching what Jerry Reinsdorf has done to this franchise, tearing it down from within, hiring a manager in Tony La Russa, who everyone on planet Earth knew wasn't the answer for this young, exciting team. Everyone knew that wasn't the answer. But Jerry Reinsdorf hires his good pal Tony La Russa anyway and sets the organization back a decade. I mean, it's remarkable how bad they are right now. I picked this team to win the AL Central. We are a month into the season, and I was flat out wrong. This team might come in dead last in the AL Central, and they're far too talented to be doing that. This team has lots of issues, so many issues, and they knew this heading into the year. You have a team with talent, young talent that's capable of winning, but what do you do in the offseason? You go and add Andrew Benintendi and Mike Clevenger? Aside from the fact of the pitcher that Clevenger is, he's not a good clubhouse guy. We can say that at a minimum. So you have a terrible offseason. You have a team that was ready to bounce back and compete, but you don't do anything. And then you cancel the Sox Fest ahead of the season without any explanation. Ownership just cancels it. Nope, sorry, sends out an email, not doing Sox Fest. Why? Because Rick Hahn doesn't want to answer to the fans. Doesn't want to answer to the fans at the one time he ever talks to them before the season, where people can ask him questions. Hell no, he doesn't want to answer their questions because he's sending the organization in the opposite direction. Their team, their franchise, the way that they produce talent, the way that they help their talent become better and better and better is ridiculous. You have a guy in Luis Robert who is supposed to be an MVP caliber player. I think he can be, but he's not getting that. He's not taking that next jump. And it's not just him. So that leads me to think this organization is just poorly run from top to bottom on the inside. This organization has 2 guys right now, Dylan Cease, Tim Anderson. Dylan Cease is one of the best pitchers in baseball. Tim Anderson will hit 300 rolling out of bed. But nobody else is stepping up. And it's a problem from within for this team. Everybody in the lineup's batting under 220. What are you doing? And it starts at the top, Alex. Jerry Reinsdorf doesn't care as much as he needs to about this team. The Pittsburgh Pirates the other day finally spent a $100 million contract on Brian Reynolds and got off of this list of now 3 teams in Major League Baseball that have never spent $100 million on a player contract. The A's, the Royals, and the Chicago White Sox. Jerry Reinsdorf is worth $2 billion, okay? You walked into Michael Jordan and the Chicago Bulls. Spend some money on the White Sox and do better than this fiasco that's going down on the South Side.
Yeah, just to put it into perspective, number-wise, the last 5 years, the White Sox have been in the bottom portion of all the Major League Baseball record books. The bottom. 19th best record in baseball, 21st in runs per game, 24th in home runs, 22nd in Major League Baseball in one-run games and day games. Like, that is bad. It's bad.
It's
for a big market team.
As you can tell,
yeah,
it's frustrating.
Heated.
I feel for White Sox fans.
Yeah.
I'm not even a White Sox fan, and I'm this passionate about how frustrating it is that this team that seemingly just can never do it right. And then their talent doesn't get produced correctly. You hear Luis Robert. You have Frank Thomas saying Luis Robert's a 6-tool player. This guy's an MVP, and he has all of that talent. But then it's just like injuries. I think the staff that does with injuries, what's that staff called? I'm too fired up to even think about it. The athletic...
the trainers?
The athletic training staff. Thank you. What are you doing? Injuries all the time. At a certain point, you think, well, maybe this player's injury prone, but then you look around and everybody's injured all the time. It's everybody in the organization. It's so frustrating. It's so frustrating. I feel for White Sox fans right now. They need a complete overhaul to answer the question of do they need to clean house? Yes, but unfortunately, the guy that needs to do it is owning the team and ain't going to clean himself.
Whew. Hot take.
Yeah.
I like it. You're fired up. Our final statement.
Okay.
You mentioned them in that last statement. The Pirates are serious about winning.
Well, so I guess I would say the Pirates are winning.
Yeah.
And they're a lot of fun to watch. But are they serious about winning? Just because they finally signed a guy to a $100 million contract. Brian Reynolds signs the deal, $106.75 million with the option for 2031. Am I now ready, after all of these years of the Pirates being an embarrassment and Bob Nutting not spending his money on the team, am I now ready to say that they're serious about winning after this deal? I'm not yet. But I could be. But I need to see a lot more than this.
But it's a step in the right direction. And this is the first step you have to take. As you mentioned, they finally got out of that group of the last 4 teams to not spend a $100 million contract on a player. They just did that. That's a step in the right direction.
Yes. However, if somebody that has lied to my face 10 times in a row finally tells me one truth, I'm not all of a sudden going to believe that person's a truth teller.
No, but you're like, okay, I'm going to give you a little bit of space here.
Yeah.
A little bit of wiggle room.
It starts your trust coming back.
Yeah.
This was a great deal for the Pirates, and I'm happy they did it. But I need to see a lot more from Bob Nutting and this organization before I'm ready to say that they're serious about winning. And this team, right now, as we speak, with the way they're playing, they are winning. So let's say they're still winning at the trade deadline. That's going to be the next step for me.
Okay.
What
That's
can
fair.
you do? It's not just, hey, you have these good guys on your team. How about you sign them? Oh, great. That should have been step 1. Brian Reynolds should have been a Pirate for life a year or 2 ago. Okay? Now it becomes, oh, are you serious about winning? Guess what? We're in first place at the trade deadline, surprising everybody. What are you going to do about it? Are you going to go all in and say you believe in us? Or are you going to continue to do what you've been doing and just sell, trade prospects? How are you going to handle it?
So what do you want to see? You want them to pick up a big player at the deadline? That's what you want to see?
I would
if
love
they're
to see
in
that.
Position?
Baseball is. I watch Pirates games right now, and they're so much fun.
Yeah.
When PNC Park, who you've said you've never been
that's
there.
one of the few I haven't been to.
One of my absolute favorites. It's one of the best ballparks in baseball. But unfortunately, for the last 5+ years, it's been a ghost town throughout the majority of the year because they don't have a winning product out there, and I don't blame the fans one bit. But look back on how good this fan base is and how good they can be. It's Pittsburgh, diehard fans. The blackout years ago. I still, to this day, when somebody asks me some of the greatest baseball games of all time, I point to the blackout game. Just the fan environment, everything about that. The fan base is great, getting fans back, and we're seeing them come back because this team is so much fun to watch. You got McCutchen back in the black and gold, having a good year. You got Bay, who's so much fun to watch. Brian Hayes over at third base, who doesn't get the credit for being the best defensive third baseman in baseball. This team is great. I've loved to see it. As of right now, their roster doesn't scream playoffs. Go get somebody at the trade deadline. Okay? Somebody will be out there to go get. I would love to see it. And that's how I can finally change this answer to, are the Pirates serious about winning? They've taken a good step. Am I ready to say they're serious yet? No. That's
fair. And that wraps up making a statement.
Some passionate ones in there today.
I love it. I love the Friday sass.
Oh.
Yeah.
Friday
it's good.
sass. Okay.
It is. It's good.
Okay.
Sassy Ben on a Friday.
Well,
which leads us.
Completely changing the tune here. Well, there might be some sass
this is
here as well.
Our next segment, things that make you go,
Yeah. That was better.
It's better.
Remember,
I'm getting
I told
better.
you last
Thank you.
week, you got to get
Thank you.
better with your
Thank you.
Things that make you go. And I want to start this week with the St. Louis Cardinals sending down their top prospect, Jordan Walker, back to AAA. Now, this stuff happens, right? You call up guys, doesn't go well, send them down. Yes. However, Jordan Walker, if you recall to start the year, had the most consecutive hits for a rookie to start his career. A historically good start. Hit in 16 of his 20 games in the big leagues with a .321 on-base percentage. Is currently batting .274 with a couple of bombs. What are we doing? Why are you sending him down? He was doing just fine. As good as you expected? Maybe not. But you say you want to send him down to fix his swing. Your team sucks right now. Let him get it. Let him fix himself in the big leagues. It's not like he's not serviceable. He's playing good baseball. What are you doing sending him down? He's your guy. You don't want to ruin his confidence and make him think, no, every time I'm up at the big leagues, if I go 0 for 4 or it turns into an 0 for 8, I'm in jeopardy of getting sent down. No, you called the guy up to start the year. Believe in him. It's not like he was doing bad by any means. Let the guy play through it. Look at what the Yankees have done with Anthony Volpe. Not a good start to his career. First couple of weeks, now he's turned it on. Just let him figure it out at the big league level. I don't understand why they sent him down. It really had me going, huh?
He's also top 5 in numbers for rookies right now this season. He's 5th best batting average among rookies, 4th best RBI, and tied for 6th in home runs. He's doing just fine.
Yeah, really odd.
And every
really
player
weird.
goes through stretches like that in a 162 game season.
Yeah,
that is normal.
What they said is they're sending him down to figure out his swing or to work on his launch angle and elevating baseballs. But I don't know. Hard ground balls work too. And if that's what he's doing right now, work on him on elevating baseballs during batting practice, in the tunnel under the dugout, and then take it to games. But I don't know. It's just weird.
Yeah. Weird. It made you go,
Yeah.
Yeah.
It did.
Yeah. Okay. Moving on to our next things that make you go, Smyly's ending to his perfect game in the 8th inning by his catcher.
We talked about this Monday, I believe. And I even said, if you know me, you know this is going to be put in another segment later this week. And of course, it's this segment. Things that make you go, Drew Smyly's perfect game in the 8th inning coming to an end because his catcher, Yan Gomes, bear hugged him and took him to the ground. I mean, just a really, really tough way to lose a perfect game. And is it anybody's fault? Honestly, I wasn't right there. but my gut reaction says it's both of their faults for not communicating.
Yeah, who was calling for the ball?
Right, it's both of them were trying to make a play on an in-between ball. So what you got to do is tell the other guy to get out of the way. Call it. They were both making a play. Now, I will say it was a harder play for Drew Smyly being a left-handed pitcher having to run over to the line, and then he basically has to turn and throw, where Yan Gomes behind the plate could have barehanded with his right, and that catcher play, just turn and throw at the same time. They didn't communicate, and what turned out as a result was just an awful ending to a potential perfect game that looks like Yan Gomes was trying to sabotage Drew Smyly's perfect game, like he just punched him in the face in the dugout or something.
Yeah, no, that hit every emotion.
Yeah.
From shock to heartbreak, a little bit of laughter because you're like, what's going on here?
Yeah.
To confusion to just sadness.
Yep.
For the situation.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, moving on to our next things that make you go, this is a high. For this one, the Flippin Bats home run effect. That's a high.
So I can't really explain what's happening. And what started last year, 2 years ago, when players would come on, they'd play really well. And I would start tweeting about it. Uh-oh, so-and-so came on Flippin Bats and now they're doing really well. But it's really become there's something here. And myself personally being a baseball player, very, very, very superstitious. So, and now these players, I wholeheartedly, you can't dispute that it's not them coming on Flippin Bats, right? You can't say that it's not, and you can't argue. Let's use Rowdy Tellez for an example, who came on 2 weeks ago. Yeah, Cal Raleigh was this Wednesday, Corbin Carroll last week, Rowdy Tellez 2 weeks ago. Rowdy Tellez came on the show and had 1 home run at the time. One. He hit 4 that week and now has 6 home runs on the year 2 weeks later.
Oh, that's great.
Ridiculous. Corbin Carroll, who came on the show last week, this week hit 400 on the week. Also hit the ball that was the longest hit ball in Major League Baseball this year that did not go for a home run. Dylan Cease, the first guest of the year, pitched great a couple of days after he came on and is, again, having a good year. And I will add, these ones are a little trickier because one of them the episode hasn't come out yet, but Cal Raleigh, who came out Wednesday, the day I interviewed him, he went to the stadium immediately after the interview, started in the game that night, home run. Hours after he came on Flippin Bats. And another spoiler, Mike Yastrzemski, coming on the podcast here in a little bit, came on 2 days ago. I talked to him 2 days ago. That night, couple of hours later, home run. Compared him to Babe Ruth in that episode. Said uncanny similarities between you and Babe Ruth. Left-handed hitting, outfielder, Giants. You've learned from Babe Ruth. The similarities are uncanny. Hits a home run that night. It's crazy. It's so cool. I love to see it. I love seeing guys around the league play well. And of course, if you come on the show, I'm going to be rooting for you even harder. And it's been really cool to see those guys.
That's good promo for any player watching or likes doing media. Come on Flippin Bats.
Seriously.
And you're going to play real great right
seriously.
after.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on to our next things that make you go,
Mm-hmm.
Major League Baseball nixed the Braves' big hat home run celebration.
This is wild. So, as you know, and as we've talked about a good bit, Alex, home run celebrations have taken over baseball, and I am absolutely here for it. The Braves' home run celebration this year was that massive hat that we've seen
big heads.
Big heads? Is that what
I think it's like big head hats.
We've seen them go viral a couple of places. It's not just baseball. You can make it anything, any sort of hat.
Yeah.
But the Braves made an Atlanta Braves big hat, and that was their home run celebration. They get in the dugout, put that on. It's great. Now, it has come out on Thursday, I think this came out, at minimum this week, that Major League Baseball is nixing that home run celebration because the league heard complaints from New Era.
Their sponsor, their hat sponsor, who makes all the hats. So it's a money thing.
I get it.
It's a business money thing. It's unfortunate.
Yes, but also, the league, Aquafina is the water sponsor. Are the Orioles going to have to stop doing the dong bong because Aquafina needs them to intake water from their water bottle? I mean, come on. Like, let the guys have their fun. Let them put on the big hat. I mean, I don't think, sure, actually, I would wholeheartedly believe that sales for the big hat, big head, whatever you're calling it, have gone up
for sure
because the Braves are wearing that.
Yeah.
But I don't think New Era is losing sales on Braves hats because they're like, well, I'm going to get the big hat instead of my New Era Braves hat. No. It's just funny.
It's in an addition fun kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? Like how you have bobbleheads or like different things, like a
giveaway?
No, like a tchotchke, but not a tchotchke. It's like what you put like
what
on your.
What the hell's a tchotchke?
Do you know what a tchotchke is? No, like if you have like your like sports wall.
No. Time out. What is a tchotchke?
A tchotchke are like
tchotchke.
little things you have around your house that like. I don't know. My mom always called it that. I don't know. Is that a thing? Is that a word?
I still don't know what you're talking about, so I can't agree or disagree.
I'll show you later.
Okay.
It's hard. Like, I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know how to explain it. But I feel like this is like a jealousy thing from New Era. Like, sorry you didn't come up with a really cool big head hat idea. Get over it.
Yeah.
You're having fun.
That's kind of my thing. Like, I don't know what I'd feel like if I'm in the New Era, like, boardrooms. And I'd probably, like, own into it and be like, make a joke out of it, but say, like, keep buying our, like, here's our hats. But, come on.
Tchotchke. I just got the definition.
Great.
Small decorative objects.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, decorative rather than functional.
Yeah, I get it.
So
No, I was never saying you were wrong. I just didn't know what it was. It's a funny word.
A trinket. Kind of like similar to that.
Okay. So, yeah, just them nixing the Braves home run celebration. It was like,
yeah.
Come on.
No, get over it.
Okay.
We got one more. Things that make you go, Yoshida's dumbbell celebration.
So,
Explain.
yes, let me explain this. I love Masataka Yoshida, and the guy is on fire right now. Like, he had that 2-home run night the other night in Milwaukee, and I proclaimed it the Masataka Yoshida breakout game. And ever since, he has been going nuts. Now, every time he hits a home run, if you're watching, as you can see now, he has these inflatable dumbbells that he holds up. And I've always thought, like, okay, cool, but like, why? Is there a meaning to this? It literally had me going, So I did some digging.
Okay, what'd you find?
I did some digging.
What'd you find?
I found the greatest video of all time, which explains why this is a thing.
Okay.
Now, if you are watching, you can see the video that I am referring to, but I will explain it. Masataka Yoshida has just come over from Japan, where when he would come up to the plate, the video board would play the song Macho, Macho Man, and the whole crowd would have inflatable dumbbells and they'd all dance to it, and they would call him Macho Man as they're playing the video of Macho Man Masataka Yoshida coming up to the plate. It was a whole thing, crowd going nuts, crowd loved it, and it all made sense. Now I get it. And the dumbbells that I liked but was confused by, it makes so much sense. I love it. And if you haven't seen the video, you need to. It's on my Twitter somewhere.
I didn't know they made blow-up dumbbells. I feel like we need to get a lot of these home run celebrations in the studio so like we can use them when we do cool things.
They make pretty much blow up anything, in case you haven't heard.
Okay. Let's move on.
Tail of the tape.
Yeah, what a matchup this weekend.
Yep.
It's like the NL East showdown between the Mets and the Braves. It's the game on Fox this Saturday. So we're going to go down.
This is a great series that I'm looking forward to. It's in New York, in Queens. So Mets are the home team here. We're not just going to gloss over the fact that we did the series last weekend, and I won that series, if you recall.
Yeah, I won the one before.
Right. So we're even there.
Yep.
So if we There might be some
I
series
have
we
no
tie.
idea.
I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah,
your
I like that
answers
we're
at
not
all.
looking at who each other picked
So,
until
Mets,
here.
Braves, the NL East clash for the ages, first of the year. We're going to break down offense, defense, manager, starters, and bullpen, and who has the best in each category.
Right now for this series.
Right now.
For
this series.
Yeah. So we're going to start with the offense. Who do you have, Ben?
Offensively, for me, it's the Atlanta Braves. Offensively, I think the Braves have the best offense in baseball, and I know right now the Rays have the best offense in baseball right now. But I think we're going to look back at the end of the year and see the Atlanta Braves as the best offense. I love Ronald Acuna, and he is back, and he is healthy, and he's having a monster year. This is the Ronald Acuna that won Rookie of the Year and almost went 40-40. So love that. Austin Riley, Matt Olson, Michael Harris. I mean, it's everywhere you turn. Sean Murphy. Everywhere you turn with this offense, there's a guy that absolutely rakes. So I'm going to take the Braves offense.
We align on this one. I am also taking the Braves offense. As you mentioned, they have all of the young talent from Acuna Jr., Ozzie Albies, Austin Riley, Sean Murphy, Olson, but their numbers are back up. They are top 10 in almost every offensive category in Major League Baseball. 3rd in home runs, 5th in extra base hits, 8th in batting average, 3rd in slugging and OPS. Like, they have what it takes right now to win this series.
All right. Neck and neck.
Neck and neck.
Offense goes to the Braves. Let's move on to defense. Defensively, I am taking the New York Mets. Brandon Nimmo out in center field this year. Brandon Nimmo in his career has gone from a below-average outfielder to an average outfielder to really good last year to this year playing a Gold Glove caliber center field. Francisco Lindor at shortstop might be the best defensive shortstop in baseball. If not, he's in the top 3. Jeff McNeil. Alonso's gotten a lot better. I'm not going to say Pete Alonso is a better defensive first baseman than, say, Matt Olson, but he's gotten a lot better. Starling Marte, you look around that field, and I like the Mets defense a lot. They've played really good this year.
We're 2 for 2 on alignment.
All right.
I am also taking the Mets. Reasons, all the players you just said, but I'll just add on to the fact that they're red hot right now. They are second. They have the second best fielding percentage in Major League Baseball, and only 7 errors committed on the season, which is second best in Major League Baseball. So they got what it takes right now.
All right.
Moving on to managers. Who you taking?
I'm taking Buck Showalter here, the Mets. So now Dusty Baker has won his World Series as a manager, meaning that Buck Showalter is now the winningest active manager without a World Series win. But from everything that I have heard from players and other managers and retired players, Buck Showalter is an incredible manager. Adam Jones, I believe, has been very vocal about him. Who else? Keith Hernandez, who I had on the show last year, legend for the Mets, has said that he believes of all the pickups that the Mets made, Buck Showalter was arguably the biggest one for how he brings a clubhouse together, for what he does, pushing the right buttons. So I do need to see it in the playoffs, but I'm going to go with Buck Showalter.
This is where we differ. I am taking the Braves, Brian Snitker. And you know what? They're both great managers, okay? As you mentioned, Buck is one of the greatest of all time. However, Brian has a World Series, and he keeps getting his team better. He even said this is possibly the greatest Braves team of all time. He was 2018 Manager of the Year. He's finished top 5 in voting each season since. He's got a winning record. He's got the team of the future.
So, yeah, to your point, I said I think this is the Braves' best team since the early 2000s, and John Smoltz himself said,
yeah,
this might be the best Braves team since at least Hank Aaron, if not ever.
Yeah.
Which is quite the statement. All right, moving on to starters.
Yeah.
The starting rotation. Okay, for me, an important note, as we mentioned, it's current.
Yep.
Right? We're going current. My team of choice is the Atlanta Braves. I'm saying the Braves because of Spencer Strider and the form that he's in. I picked him to win an NL Cy Young Award. Max Fried, who is back and in his first outing back was dominant. Charlie Morton's looked pretty good. For me, it's the two aces that they have that the Mets don't have right now. Strider and Fried compared to no Scherzer and no Justin yet. Although, just doing math in my head, Scherzer might throw in this series. May 1st
is when
which is what
back.
day? That's a Monday, so
Monday,
he
I
won't
think.
pitch in
No.
this series. Okay. So, yeah, Strider and Fried are the cream of the crop, and I love them, so I went Braves.
Yeah, I also went with the Braves because Mets don't have their two top guys right now. As you mentioned, Scherzer's out till May 1st. Your brother, Justin Verlander, is still out, but making his rehab outing. Is it today? Friday?
Yes, today.
Yeah, today. So because of that, I have to go with the Braves because their two top guys and Strider and Fried have just looked red hot.
All right. I like it. That leads to our last one, Alex, which is bullpen. I am going to go with the Braves.
Okay.
Now, let me explain. The Mets bullpen so far this year has been good.
Yeah.
I believe actually team ERA wise they might be better than the Braves. I just believe in the guys that the Braves are running out there. AJ Minter, and then I think they have a lot of underrated arms in that bullpen. And the Mets missing Edwin Diaz, they just are lacking that length in the bullpen. There aren't a ton of guys that they have that they can turn to. So missing Edwin Diaz really just condenses the number of outs you have to get with guys in the bullpen. And so far, they've been okay, but I'm not just going by the numbers. I'm going by my feel of it. And
you're doing what I usually do, gut feel.
as of right now, I believe in the Braves bullpen more so than the Mets bullpen.
All right. Well, I did the opposite, and I went with numbers, and I'm picking the Mets bullpen because they've really stepped up with even the starters that they've lost. Obviously, Edwin Diaz, their main guy, their closer in the bullpen. And with all of that, they have the 8th best ERA in baseball. They're the best in baseball in inherited runners scored percentage. So when runners, they come in, guys on base, they do the best of not letting them come in. 7 saves, which is the 7th most in Major League Baseball. So, yeah, I'm taking the Mets bullpen. Are we tied?
Yeah, I think
By
we
the
both
way-
went 3 for the Braves and 2 for the Mets. So my question is, would you take the Braves in this series?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So I'm looking up the scheduled starters to see if I want to take the Mets.
Okay.
And so we'll either be on the same side and there's no wager, or
No.
we'll be on opposite ends.
Okay.
So Friday
Okay.
is Max Fried against Peterson. Okay, don't love that one for the Mets. That's
So you're
advantage
taking the
Braves.
Okay.
Strider against McGill. Nope, I'm going to take the Braves.
Yeah, we're both taking the Braves. We're both taking the Braves.
Fried
in
and
this.
Strider start the first 2 games
Yeah.
of the series. That's tough. So, we both went 3 for. We did a little differently, but
Yeah.
we both ultimately ended up
3 and
with
2.
the Braves 3 and the Mets at 2. So that does it for this week's Tale of the Tape, which is a great series. I do believe this is a great series, and it's the game. It's on Fox. You can check it out there. Smoltz is on the call. Smoltz joins the podcast. Saturday with Smoltz is, you guessed it, Saturday. So make sure you check that out. We talk about the Braves. He shares some of his stories, his ejection stories, all
Love
3 of his
that.
ejections in his career. And we talked about Max Scherzer and that ejection and what we should do with sticky substances and how to go about those checks. Expansion, great talk. That drops tomorrow. So check out Saturday with Smoltz for sure. But before we wrap up this Friday show, Alex, little extra innings. And this
Heartwarming.
is a feel-good
Yeah.
story. Drew Maggi got the call up to the major leagues last week, or really early this week, after 13 years in the minor leagues. 13 years. Over 1,100 games played in the minors and almost 4,000 at-bats, Drew Maggi finally got the call. And then on Wednesday night, made his debut. Finally made the debut against the Dodgers. And it was the coolest moment. Parents in the stands, in tears, standing ovation from the crowd. The knowledge of the fan base to know the moment, to understand what's happening. Baseball is so hard. And the minor leagues are a grind. And to spend 13 years there without getting that call that you have wanted so badly and have dreamed about is hard. And he finally got that call after 13 years and made his debut, came out, tipped his cap, took the moment. It was certainly a special night for Drew Maggi, for his parents, for his teammates, and honestly, for fans of the game of baseball. There's not a single person that was rooting for him in that at bat. First pitch of the bat hits a rocket foul down the left field line, and off the bat, you're like, "There's no really seriously." And ends up striking out in that at bat, but it ain't about that. Who cares? The guy did it, and Drew Maggi is forever a big leaguer.
It's not often you hear of players after 13 years have the never quit attitude.
Yep.
Because you get beaten down mentally, emotionally at that point, and he understood the moment.
Yep.
He said when he heard his name called in the dugout, his heart just started going. But then he was like, this is the moment you've been waiting for.
That's
This
awesome.
is the moment you've been working for your entire life. And what I loved even more, because we talked about this in another situation, the umpire understood the moment. And he stepped out of the box. He stepped out of the box when he saw the entire stadium give him a standing ovation and really take in that moment. And he did. And it was so beautiful. It was so magical. He was just to have his parents there and hearing him talk in the post-game interview of what it not only meant to him, but to his parents who have been his emotional support and his mental support throughout this entire journey to get to the big leagues. It was just, this is what it's all about. This is what the game's all about.
It pulled on all the right strings. It was an awesome story. Congratulations to him. And I will end this episode with his last quote, because that's what we do here. We pull at the heartstrings. Anything is possible, he said. Never give up, no matter what you're doing. If you love something, go for it. That's what he said after the game, as he was very emotional. And that does it for this Friday episode of Flippin Bats. Remember, Saturday with Smoltz. Tomorrow, check it out. It was an awesome conversation. He told stories about Bobby Cox and Chipper Jones and getting ejected, and every time Smoltz starts telling stories, it's just, I'm like a kid in a candy shop all over again. So make sure you listen to that tomorrow. Thank you all for listening. Make sure you subscribe wherever you listen to your podcast. We're also on all social media, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and you can watch every single episode on YouTube as well at Flippin Bats Pod for all of them. Enjoy the weekend, everyone. Check it out tomorrow. But until tomorrow, this has been the Friday episode of Flippin Bats. Peace.